Hello, everyone, and welcome to Higston's Ramblings. This channel may not be for everyone, as this is an opinion channel, and on those occasions where what I say is not opinion but factual, I will say so. There are multiple issues occurring affecting society's ability to function properly. Here at Higston's Ramblings, we are going to discuss the topics such as race, immigration, the he, she's, education, drugs, political leaders, and more in a candid manner. Today's topic is immigration and the riots. I wish that the politicians and media hosts would stop this rubbish of putting people into groups like the Muslim group or the far right group or the lefties group, as this serves no purpose other than to inflame the situation for their own personal gain. Not all Muslims are criminals. Not all people that speak out with a different opinion are far right or lefties. This is such rubbish. This only serves a purpose to divide society. The other issue is people are melding many different issues into the immigration debate when a lot of these issues have nothing to do with each other. The Palestinian issue has nothing to do with immigration, so we will discuss that issue in a future episode. The topic of discussion today is immigration and the cause of the current riots from the Middle East and African countries, which is at the heart of the discontent. Approximately two-thirds of these immigrants gain entry to Western countries illegally, either by boat, running across a land border, or with forged documents. The politicians allow this mass immigration in order to gather the immigrant vote to stay in power. Over time, this mass immigration has led to increased violent crime in Western countries that have allowed this mass immigration. As these immigrants gain positions in government and other positions where they have the ability to erode Western culture and traditions. The Western country I live in no longer advertises Easter or the Easter Bunny, Good Friday, Palm Sunday, or even the Chinese New Year, but there is an overload of advertising for Ramadan. We no longer have fireworks on Victoria Day or parades on St. Patrick's Day, and there are very few celebrations for the country's birthday. These are just a few of the traditions that our country had for over a century that no longer occur, as the population of our country is approaching 50% immigrants, predominantly from the Middle East, with approximately 15% from African countries. Now, this is fact. From July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023, there were 468,817 immigrants from the Middle East or an African country into our country. Now, that's a fact. So this gives you a good idea of the magnitude of the effect this mass immigration has. Due to this mass immigration, violent crime has increased since the beginning of this mass immigration through to today by more than 10% per year. The increase from when this mass immigration began to today is an increase in violent crime of 500%. This is the issue that people are speaking out about. I have witnessed this for myself. The small town I live in, population 19,000. In 2008, there was no crime. You could leave your bikes out with no fear they'd be stolen. You could even leave your doors unlocked if you wished. There was no such thing as a sexual assault or murder or assault with a deadly weapon. This was a predominantly white community with several Chinese families. In 2009, the first Middle Eastern black families moved into town. Today, there's an entire neighborhood of them. In 2009, bikes began to disappear, break-ins began, assaults began. Now we fast forward today. We now have stabbings in the park, drive-by shooting at 10 a.m. in the morning on Main Street, in town, killing one of their own, numerous sexual assaults. It isn't safe for women to walk after dark anymore. And then there's the increase in drugs. That's just to name a few changes that have occurred, and most certainly not in the best interests of the original citizens of the town, some of whom have lived here for many generations. The saddest part of all is I will be labeled a racist for voicing my concern. I do not understand why voicing my concern for this rise in crime and erosion of my centuries-old tradition makes me a racist. I wish to preserve my traditions for future generations. Why is that racist? I am Scottish and British by descent, as I love both countries' historic traditions, Why is that racist? To wish to preserve all those wonderful traditions, playing of the bagpipes, trooping the colors, the Highland Games, having pride in my heritage. Why is that racist? Because to me it is not. I am only attempting to preserve a good way of life that I was lucky enough to have lived, but I fear that the generations that follow me will not if something isn't done to stop this erosion of our society. If people truly wish to correct this problem, here are a few steps towards a permanent solution. Stop this mass immigration as the immigrants are not wishing to assimilate into Western society. Any immigrant that arrives either by boat or land border, immediately return them to their country of origin. There should be no hesitation, just do it. Deport all immigrants that commit a crime of any sort immediately. Thus, that would also fix the overcrowding in prisons. Politicians and pundits alike attempt to bamboozle the public into thinking this is a complicated problem when it is not. The solution is easy, but there is not the will. Never mind public outcry, as until the public gets a proper education on this issue, the majority of them have no idea what they're talking about, only that they generate a large income from muddying the waters on the issue. Close the borders. Stop all immigration until each country gets the situation under control. Set proper guidelines prior to allowing immigration to begin. Guidelines such as must speak English or the mother language of the country they wish to immigrate to, must dress in Western style clothing, must want to assimilate into Western society, give back to the communities they live in, not just to their respective community. And what I mean by that is most Muslims are very charitable, but not to the community they live in, only to their own community. They will assist seniors who are Muslims, but not seniors in the wider community. While it is great, they are charitable by only doing this for Muslims is the beginning of not assimilating into the greater community, which in turn begins the division. Must not use religion as an excuse not to assimilate. And what I mean by that is Muslims like to use the religion as an excuse to wear the burqa. And if that is the case, then deny entry to the country, as that is not assimilate. Too often people use religion as an excuse to get what they want, while in Western countries, out of some misguided perception, they allow this. Well, if I move to any Middle Eastern country, I would not be allowed to wear a pair of Daisy Dukes and a tank top to walk down the street. So my question is, why should Middle Eastern people that immigrate to a Western country not have to adopt the dress style of the country they immigrate to? They do not have to wear a burqa to practice their religion. That is rubbish. You don't see all Catholics wearing a nun's habit to practice their religion. What people never realize or think about is if a person doesn't wish to give up their burqa, this means the truth is they do not believe in the Western way of life. They are only immigrating to that country for some other reason, which should be a red flag. What no one wants to talk about is the fact that these riots are a class of civilizations. You have two very different cultures, one with one culture being foisted upon the other by politicians and profiteers. This will never work unless you have strict standards, and assimilation must be at the top of the list, because this is why immigration is not working now. The other topic no one wishes to talk about is the fact that Western culture is very different to the Middle East and African culture. Western culture prior to the reality TV era was one of respect for yourself and others, which included people's property, people had manners, free speech. You could speak with a different opinion without being labeled or put in a category. There were low crime rates in my country. Drive-by shootings were something that only happened in Mexico. The Middle Eastern and African cultures have no respect for others or their property. To steal or scam is a part of their culture. Unfortunately, violence is a way of life, as the men in these countries treat women not as people, but objects they own, beating, raping women at their leisure. Women in Western countries worked hard to obtain equal status to men to be treated as people, not objects. However, with this mass immigration, that will disappear. As this very important topic is not reported on, an example of this is the gang rape of Western women by Middle Eastern and African men. In Germany, in one New Year's Eve night, there were over, and this is fact, were over a thousand gang rapes of Western women. Germany tried very hard to sweep these horrific crimes under the rug, just like all the other Western countries are doing, as this has become an increasing crime against women. My question to all those people that are for this unchecked mass immigration is when all the women are wearing burqas, English is no longer the official language, and everyone is speaking some form of Arabic, the women are being beaten and raped in the streets, stabbing, shootings, thefts are the norm, and your customs and traditions are lost forever. When this occurs, and it will, as I see it already in my country, what will you say then? Will you care? We need to do better than this for the innocent children and every other person who wants to live a peaceful, violent-free life, as life used to be in our Western countries. I ask, please use the power of the pen, not engage in this absurd violence in the streets, but to write to your local politicians. Tell them to stop this mass immigration until they set standards. As with the power of words, you can make a positive difference. Please use the power of the pen or the keyboard in a respectful manner on this very important immigration issue, as your future as a free person depends on it. Thank you for listening. Please click the like and subscribe buttons. It's free. I look forward to all your comments in the comment section. I do wish to reiterate that there is no room for any type of hate comments. I wish to hear from people who can articulate their opinion in a respectful manner. Until next time, always remember every day is a gift.